Hi guys, this is the video for the watcher. So what I'm doing at the beginning is I'm just laying down some tea over the actual piece, just dabbing it here and there, and just extracting that tea flavor. Basically it gives you this kind of sepia effect. So what I did is after I did the initial sketch, I just sprayed it down with some fixative so the pencil work can stay intact and not get smudged, and just dabbed a tea bag all over it. The next part, what I do then is just go over with the liquid acrylics. This is a mixture between a light blue and a Payne's gray, and just go over kind of all the darker areas, just filling in all those voids basically. So the idea behind these watchers, there should be probably 3 of them I'm thinking, is they look at this world of the crown of wings, and they need to understand it. They need to understand why this world works. So what they do is they set out this quest for this person who has the actual crown of wings to go out in the world and to find out why should they not destroy this world? What does it have to offer? Why is it worth saving? So the idea I had behind it is this wielder of the crown of wings goes out and asks the people and the gods of the world to explain to them and give them meaning to this world. So that's what these illustrations and paintings are going to be mostly based on. The actual people who live within this world of a crown of wings. So at this stage in the drawing, what I'm doing is filling in the wings parts just around the skull. I'm trying to do one dark, one light, one dark, one light. And again, just applying light washes all over the actual piece. I always start light and then work into dark. So you'll see me going over a few times over the same areas just to darken it up a bit, get those values right, just to get it popping really. Because the idea is that we want to lift this 2D image and make it a bit more 3-dimensional, give it some life. That's the idea behind it. So when I'm doing around those fingers there, based on, I want them to pop as well. So, a darker background against a lighter foreground is always going to work in your favor. Just down at the bottom bit, I'm just adding some blue, just want it to fade out, kind of like ethereal kind of thing. When I'm doing the wings over here next, I'm just adding in the darker parts and letting the actual first wash come through. Because when I add that little bit of darkness to it, the first wash is going to be a bit lighter. It's just going to lift itself out when I add the darker parts of the wings. I'm going on the hands at the moment. Again, just painting in those shadows, just keeping it nice and light because I don't want any hard edges on them. The only hard edges are in the palms, actually. Next, I am doing the skull. So what I do is just painting in the shadow parts that I think will need it. So what I did next is get the toothbrush and added just a bit of the dark Payne's gray all around it, just give a bit more texture to those wings, and just a little bit of noise there. So as you can see, one light, one dark with those feathers, just to make it pop. So now I'm coming in with the airbrush, and I put in the blue, and I'm just going over the actual piece and just darkening it a bit. As you can see, it went all over the skull as well, because later on what I'm going to do is come in and paint it with some white paint, because you need that kind of dark background just to help it pop a bit more and just to add more value. And I'm going in all the dark parts of the wings. You can see how it kind of spreads over and kind of bleeds into the actual wing part, makes it a little bit more realistic to me. And again, all around his body part, you know, it makes it a bit more darker, so I wasn't too concerned about adding too many washes, because I knew I was going to come in with the airbrush and eventually just fill out all those spaces, basically. So at this point, I'm going in with the Prismacolor white pencil. I'm just adding some highlights here and there. The great things with these pencils, once you get this light wash that you put down with the acrylics, you can go over with all these colored pencils and just add these really cool textures, because I love lines. I love adding the lines to my pieces. So at this point, I'm putting in some white gouache. Now, the thing with gouache, it kind of, if you dilute it enough, it kind of paints transparent. And again, adds these kind of textures to it that the skull would really, you know, benefit from over here. So I'm just painting in the lighter parts and just going over it, you know, several times, clearing some of those edges. As you can see, I put some on the hands as well. It's all about lighting those lighter parts and just adding those little bit of highlights. So I'm just doing like light washes, because I don't want it to be too harsh, you know, that white popping too much. It just wants to blend in a little bit, you know, just so it stands out enough from the actual hand, the rest of the hand, and the blue on it, basically. So at this point, I'm concentrating back on the wings now, just adding those little bit of oranges and yellows. This is the wings and the skull are pretty much based on the death moth. I've always wanted to do a death moth, you know, I'm pretty sure everyone wants to do them because it's so cool. Then I went in with the opaque painting. So what I'm doing is just adding some yellow ochre. I'm not too bothered about it being too defined. I just want to put some shapes down and, you know, splatters, and then the eye can really fill in the rest over here. I went with some Vermilion red, and I didn't really like it that much, so I ended up painting over it. I thought it would work. I think I liked the color rather than, you know, thinking that it would work in the composition. Added some more blue, Calirium blue, I think it's called. I don't have it in front of me. And then with the kind of the back horns, I just did light washes of the blue, and then basically I'll just fill in, you know, the lighter parts and the darker parts, because I wasn't sure at this point exactly what I wanted to do with them, whether it was going to keep them too light or too dark. But I like the fact that the one on the left is kind of like detached from itself. It's kind of just hanging there in midair, but it follows them everywhere. And at this point, what I did is just added some more lighter blue to the feathers over here. Now, this brush has the bristles are a bit flaky, so it added that texture in terms of those lines that you can see coming out on it. Then I go over the yellow ochre one more time. As it settles, I just want it to pop a bit more, get that opaque painting going in there so it can stand out a bit, give it a little bit more texture into the drawing. Then I go in with some more of the Prismacolor pencils, just to do, you know, define those lines and just crisp up those edges a bit more and fill in those bit more detail kind of going on there too. Pretty much, you know, tighten up most of the stuff, just go over it with various blues and purples. As you can see, I'm just doing it on the body part there, just to separate the inner part to the outer part. Bit of the orange into the wings, and just seeing what works. And then I just did some lighter lines around the wings. You can see how they kind of pop a bit more, and it has that kind of definition. You know, you can see this 4-part of wings. At this point, what I did is I got the airbrush with just some white paint and just went over the orb in the middle. And as you can see, I used my round, what's it called, instrument to help me do this. I call it my round ruler. Then on the head, as you can see, I'm doing some airbrush, lightly putting it on. And that's how you get that glowing effect. Now, you don't want to put too much, but just enough, just to get that idea of it. So what I did in the end over here is I'm adding some more, what's it called? Added some more tea at the end. And, oh yeah, then I went over everything with some more yellow at this point. Some yellow acrylic, just to get that definition going on. And in the background, added some more yellow and create this lovely green effect with the airbrush just bleeding into it. And just added some tea, and it was some golden acrylic as well. Just added that really nice depth to it. And I think it worked really nicely. And over here in the end, as you can see, I'm doing some gold pen. And just adding these orbs to the thing. I always thought I'd do that. But luckily what happens is that they were all in the same line, which was a happy accident because I wasn't really intending on doing that. And then I'm just finishing up the horns here, just adding some more of that golden pen. So it's just a gold gel pen basically. Just adding to the tips and just kind of like to the overall aesthetic. Well, thanks for watching, and you can find me on Patreon. If you can support me, that'd be fantastic. Thanks again. Bye-bye.